Hello again and welcome to another episode of I Want to Talk About This Album. And today I'm going to talk about a classic. I think everybody would agree that it's a classic. It's Ozzy, Blizzard of Oz. But before I get to the episode, to the album, a couple of items of business briefly to take care of. One, I just finished eating a bag of very hot and spicy peanuts with big pieces of red dried chili peppers in it, which I also consumed. So if you notice them sniffing and doing this, cleaning my teeth, it's the remnants of these very, very hot and spicy peanuts. That's one. The other one is in the next episode, which should be on Sunday, if all goes according to plan, I will have a very special guest. So stay tuned for that. It's scheduled for tomorrow. The time is set. The date is set. We've my guest and I have got our times set. We're gonna meet. We're gonna do an episode together, talking about an album that he performed. It's his record. I'm going to talk about that with him. Isn't that such a mystery? Stay tuned, and unless something happens tomorrow, for me tomorrow, for you, it'll be on Sunday, so stay tuned for that. So, now to get to the episode, Ozzy, Blizzard of Oz. There it is. I've talked about Ozzy a couple times. I did The Horrible Patient number 9, which was gifted to me, thankfully, by Miguel. And again, thank you, Miguel. I did Diary of a Madman and Bark at the Moon. I think that's it. I think this will be the last one. I don't have any more Ozzy here, and I don't think I'm going to get any more. I kind of checked out on Ozzy's solo career after... Oh, I did The Ultimate Sin, too. And I got... No More Tears, I think, was the last Ozzy album. Oh no, No Rest for the Wicked. If I came across No Rest for the Wicked, I think I would buy that. I like that record well enough. But I bought No More Tears. That was the last Ozzy record that I bought. I kind of lost interest in him as a solo artist. And I sometimes kind of forget how big and how important Ozzy was for me as a music fan. I got into Kiss first in 1977, and one of the first albums that I remember getting, I think it was around 1980, there were two. There was Back in Black and Paranoid. And then Ozzy was my first concert too on the Bark at the Moon tour, April 25th, 1984. So, and then, as I said, after No Rest for the Wicked, I kind of said goodbye to Ozzy. But when I listen to his music, I still think, man, Ozzy is just the best. So this one, Blizzard of Oz, there are several albums that I've talked about before that are kind of, you could consider them companion albums. They came back to back and they were very, very similar, maybe identical. And then people, I think, are very divided on which is the better one of the two. I would say Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets is one example. Kiss, Creatures of the Night and Lick It Up is another example. I don't know, you could even say Van Halen 1 and 2 or... whatever, and I think maybe Iron Maiden for me, Peace of Mind and Power Slave, or it could be Power Slave and Somewhere in Time. And I think Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman are very, very similar. Very, the style, the sound, the era, they were only a year apart, very similar. You know which one I like better? It's not even close. It's Diary of a Madman. And before I expand on that just a little bit, I would say Blizzard of Oz is, and again, I've talked about this before, I don't like these these words overrated and underrated and all time and, things like that. But according to me, and I guess according to the definition of what people consider to be overrated and underrated, I guess I would have to say for me, Blizzard of Oz is overrated, although it's stupid to say that, which I guess for me just means that I know it's a classic album. Everybody considers it one of the greatest metal albums ever, probably the greatest album of 1980, or maybe Heaven and Hell. And British Steel, I guess a lot of people would say that too. And I don't like Blizzard of Oz that much. I do like it, obviously. But now going back to the comparison between Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman, Diary of a Madman, way, way better. That I've established that is in my top 10 records of all time. There, I said I hate it, but it is one of my top 10 records ever. And I just can't get enough of that. It's not even close between Diary of a Madman and Blizzard of Oz. And honestly, I never encourage or ask for comments, but I really do want to know which do people prefer. I think in the big picture, I think this will be considered more of the classic just because it was the first. And again, I've talked about that. I've talked about a lot of things apparently. You know, whichever comes first always has the advantage. Some might say it has a leg up on its successor. And for me, it's the opposite. And oh man, Diagram of a Madman is just a great album. Blizzard of Oz, there's some great songs on it, but there's I guess 3 songs on it that I just never got into. You can maybe, before I get to them, you can maybe place your bets and guess which 3 songs I never really get into. I don't know really the lyrics to those 3 songs. I can kind of recognize them, but just never really get into them. And as I think I mentioned, I was late to this album. So this came out in 1980. The first Ozzy record I ever had was Diary of a Madman, which came out in 81. I probably got that, I don't know if I got it in 81 or 82, but it was, I guess, current at the time. I don't know if it's brand new, and I don't know when it came out. But anyway, so I had Diary of a Madman. I never had Blizzard of Oz on vinyl. I didn't get it until I got CDs. I got my first CD player in December 1989, so maybe I got the earliest I could have got Blizzard of Oz is 1990, and I don't know, maybe I got it in 91, 92, maybe even 93, I don't know. So by that point, it had been out for at least 10, 11, maybe 12 or 13 years. And I knew the songs, of course, from seeing Ozzy live and, you know, from different, friends I had who were big Ozzy fans and, radio and videos, not so much. I think I'm sure I knew Crazy Train. Crazy Train was probably the first solo Ozzy song I heard. And that was what I guess got me into Diary of a Madman. But for me, this album, some great songs and some ones that and when I listen to it today, the 3 songs I'm talking about, one is better and I like more than I remember. But the other 2 were just, and actually there's a 4th one I could say that I knew it quite well, but when I listened to it today, I thought maybe this isn't quite as good as I remember. Which ones are those going to be? You're going to find out right now, because I'm going to talk about it. Blizzard of Oz. So there it is, and it's got the hype sticker. It says Ozzy Osbourne, Blizzard of Oz, 30th anniversary vinyl edition. So I guess it came out in 2010 maybe. All original performances, remastered from the original master tapes, 180 gram vinyl. I guess they had to specify there was all original performances because there was a big controversy or a lot of people were unhappy. They re-recorded these. The bass parts on this and Diary of a Madman were re-recorded by Mike Borden and Robert Trujillo. And a lot of people were very unhappy about that. And so I guess when this came out in 2010, they wanted to make sure that it's all original performances. So there it is. I always love this album cover. And especially this, I've said before how, this Ozzy font, this style, he changed it for a little bit, was stylized a little bit differently on Ultimate Sin. It was still the same. The colors changed a little bit, but he changed the style a little bit for No Rest for the Wicked. But this original Ozzy logo is one of my favorites, and I love this album cover too. And about just a quick note about the shirt. God, I'm really extending this. I got this shirt at a Helmet concert. Helmet played in Mexico City, I don't know, a year and a half ago maybe, and there's always guys selling bootleg shirts outside, and I got a bootleg Helmet shirt. I got this bootleg Ozzy Blizzard of Oz shirt. Read it. It's the lyrics to Mr. Crowley, I think. So there it is. I'll get to this now. I'll open it up first and see what's inside. As far as I know, it doesn't say that it's any color or splattered vinyl or marble or anything like that. So I guess it's just black, and it seems that maybe there is something. I was going to say that it seemed like just a plain white sleeve. Okay, yeah, cool. That and the lyrics. All right, and this is very, very heavy, thick quality paper in the inner sleeve. And there's the record. Oh man, I love that Jet Records logo. And whatever happened to Jet Records? This and Diary of a Madman were on Jet. I never knew any other band or any other Ozzy record because Bark at the Moon was after that, and Bark at the Moon was on Columbia, I think. But I only know 2 records ever, or only had 2 records that were on Jet, and they were Blizzard of Oz and, well, the CD, and Diary of a Madman. So now the first song is Don't Ask Me, I Don't Know. I love the song. This is probably, maybe this or one other one are my favorite on this album. I'm going to say I Don't Know is my favorite. I have a special connection to I Don't Know because I did buy the single of Flying High Again, whenever that came out, I guess at some point in 81 or 82, and the B-side of Flying High Again, and it had that great single. The cover had a really cool single from the same photo shoot as I'm talking about more about Diary of a Madman than Blizzard of Oz. But the B-side of Flying High Again was I Don't Know live that was recorded from the Blizzard of Oz tour. And that's a great, great song. I Don't Know is just amazing. And I'm sure I heard the live version for quite some time before I ever heard the studio version. I still, when I hear it, I still kind of hear it and remember it and sing it as the live version of I Don't Know. Love that song. I'm going to say it's my favorite. Next is Crazy Train. And so many times I've said it's hard to talk about these songs that, you know, that are whatever you want to call them, iconic or legacy songs or classics, whatever, because you've heard them a million times. You're probably sick of them. Where do you start? Rock and Roll All Night, Enter Sandman, Stairway to Heaven. I don't know. Pick, Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer, something like that. So you kind of look at those differently because you've heard those. No matter how many times you listen to an album like this, you hear those big singles far, far, far more often because they play them at, they play Crazy Train at pretty much every sporting event. You hear it everywhere. So from what I'll say about Crazy Train now, yes, I'm tired of it. I don't know if I particularly enjoy it whenever it comes on because I never really hear it in context. But I did when I listened to it today. I did enjoy it because I was listening to it with headphones and it was just, dedicated to the song. There was nothing, superfluous going on around it. But I have to say, Crazy Train is a great, great song. I think the best way to view these songs that you're maybe tired of is if you can remember how you felt when you first heard it. And I remember thinking, Crazy Train is just the best thing ever. I loved it. So yeah, tired of it, but there's no denying that Crazy Train is fantastic. Next, I think is D, right? No, Goodbye to Romance. Yeah, Goodbye to Romance is next. And this is one that I mentioned earlier that I thought, yeah, I like Goodbye to Romance. But when I listened to it today, I don't dislike it, but I didn't like it as much as I remembered I did. And it has nothing to do with being a ballad, because I've talked before about, this is the most times I think that I've talked before about, there are some ballads that I love. Home Sweet Home is a great example. I don't know if I ever got tired of that. But I don't know, when I listened to it today, Goodbye to Romance, I didn't really enjoy it too much. Something I did notice though when I listened to it today, the bridge of it, to me was reminded me really of the Beatles. I guess when I listened to this when I was young, I didn't really have the knowledge of the Beatles to know, but now that I know the Beatles, yeah, the bridge leading into the soul of Goodbye to Romance is very Beatles-esque, I think is what people say, or Beatles-ish. Next is D, and D is filler. There's no arguing that, because filler is not a song that you like. No, Enter Sandman is not filler. You may hate it. Back in the Village by Iron Maiden is not filler. Whatever song that you don't like, it's not filler. Filler is, again, I've talked about this before, it's short songs, instrumentals, covers, interludes, something like that. And D is just a very short, I think it's around a minute, maybe less, just a little Randy Rhoads Look at Me type thing. And nothing wrong with that, but it is filler. Next is Suicide Solution. This is one that I always liked. I think everybody likes this. Ozzy, I think, always through his whole career, always did Suicide Solution live. And that's one of the ones I did always like and still do like. And then on side 2 is Mr. Crowley. This is the other one that could be the contender for my favorite on this album. I said I don't know. But I think, it's I Don't Know or Mr. Crowley. I think it's I Don't Know, but Mr. Crowley is amazing. It's got that, that creepy organ intro that's very Ozzy. It's very, suitable for the time, that big creepy organ. And then Mr. Crowley, da, da, da. Great heavy song, amazing song. Never got sick of that one. Next, as I check again. Now here are the last, so it's the last 3 songs that I mentioned in the beginning, which was, I think, about 45 minutes ago at this point. These next three songs, the last three songs, I never got into them ever. So even, as I said, I was late to this, but when I was, I don't know if that was why, but I just never, I don't know really any of the lyrics. I know that I can, kind of recognize the music and the melodies of them, but just never get into their No Bone Movies, Revelation, Mother Earth, and Steal Away, parentheses, the Night. No Bone Movies, kind of a stupid song, I guess. It's kind of a, I don't know, kind of a, it's a porn or anti-porn song or something, I don't know. But just never really got into that one. Not gonna have too much to say about these three. Revelation, parentheses, Mother Earth, which maybe that's why I never got into these last two, because they had these parentheses subtitles, I guess. Why don't just call it Revelation or Mother Earth? Don't call it both. Not ballad, but kind of mellow, and I just never got into that one. And then the last song, this is one that I don't really remember. When I listened to it today, I thought, this is one that I like better than I remember, which reminded me of Waiting for Darkness when I did Bark at the Moon a couple of months ago, 3 months ago maybe. It was in April. It was my 40th anniversary of my first concert, so that was in April. I found that I'd kind of forgotten how much I liked Waiting for Darkness, the last song on Bark at the Moon. It was kind of forgotten. And listening to it today, how much I kind of forgot that I like Steal Away. Steal Away. What's the subtitle called? The Night, Steal Away the Night. Yeah, I like that song a lot. Not a lot, but much, much better than I thought I did. But that's one that I have to get into more. But I do like it. So there you go. So for me, it's not, and I know it is a classic album. I'm not denying that. But you can't like every classic. It doesn't mean that it's not a classic. But yeah, it's a good album for me, but doesn't even come close to. I don't know why we compare them, but not even close to Diary of a Madman. And really, I never solicit comments, but which is the one that anybody prefers? I would bet if you asked like 1,000 Ozzy fans, real Ozzy fans, if what their preference was. And when I say real, I don't mean that in a snobbish way, but in people that are really familiar with them. I would guess this would win. But I know Diary of a Madman is also very, very highly thought of. So there it is. And this is Ozzy, Blizzard of Oz.